is kind of like a system that competes with Facebook, but there's no way for a library to have a presence on Google+. So today, mostly what I'm going to be talking about is just a way for librarians to connect with other librarians and other information professionals. There are some organizations that do have Google+ presences, but in many cases, Google will take them down and delete their accounts. But we're not quite sure exactly when Google is going to allow institutions like libraries and companies to have it. Now it's just individuals. And I use it as a way to connect to other librarians and other technology people that are out there. Now the first 20 minutes I'm probably just going to be going through a bunch of captured slides that I've taken. And if we have time at the end, then I'll go in and do a live demo. But I'd rather not be kind of bouncing back and forth until just to make sure that I stay on topic. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you create a Google+ account is to say something about yourself. I know that the background is kind of grayed, but this is a place where you can see if I can widen that a little bit. But this area in here, this is where you can put in like a little file. You can say what you are, maybe what kind of position you have, what interests you have. So I use that when I have other people friend me, or if I go out and friend other people on Google+, I'll look at that and see. Like here it says, I'm an academic librarian in Los Angeles. So that immediately tells people roughly where I am, that I'm an academic librarian. If there's somebody who's a public librarian down in Florida, who may not know who I am, but generally a librarian well, there's some people, like you'll get friend requests from people that you have no idea who they are. Like this guy here, Chris Voss. I'd never heard of him before, but I took a look at his posts when I initially added him to my circles, and I've since taken him off my circles since the kind of stuff he was continuing to share. And he's an oversharer. He posts tons of things on Google+, but there's no like. Underneath where it says Chris Voss, there's nothing under there, so I wasn't quite sure who he was. So you might have to take an extra step, and there's an About section here that you can go into. So once you go in to see more about, then I saw that he's the Chris Voss of the chrisvossshow.com, and he's in business and social media consulting. So once I saw that, and I think I took a look at like 5 or 10 minutes of his Chris Voss show, I thought, this guy's just kind of a blowhard, so I took him out of my circles. And usually, I don't block people personally, and I'll ignore people with it's an official term within the Google+ service, just to not connect with them. So it's like there's some people on Facebook that you probably ignore. Like this guy here. This is, lately I've been getting a lot of people that speak other foreign languages, and even though they may be perfectly interesting people, unless I see something like them working at a bibliothèque or a library or some kind of an information field, or sometimes there's photographers out there that put out really amazing stuff, and I might put somebody in my circles just because they have really interesting photos. And then there's some people like this person here. You'll see it says this person hasn't shared anything with you. This person hasn't put anything out in the public. So I'm kind of hesitant to put somebody in my circles that hasn't put anything out publicly. Now once you're in a stream, like this is Alex Scrivener, there's a little section over here that's got a little drop-down arrow. You can link to the post, you can report abuse, you can mute it, and you can block the person. And in posts that have some activity to it, There's another option called View Ripples, and Ripples is something that just came out like 5 or 6 days ago, along with a couple of other things. And this is pretty interesting. Like Sarah Houghton, she's known as the librarian in black. Now, the ripples on this post is not very interesting because it's only like 2 or 3 arrows. So I'm going to show you the ripples on something that had a lot more activity on it. Now, Louis Gray, he's a person who's just joined Google. He had been a technology blogger for many years, and now he's working for Google to kind of market and promote GooglePlus. So he's got an awful lot of activity. Like this one, you can see it has 153 people who clicked on +1, 26 shares. So when you go in to see the ripples for this, I started off with this person, Jan Saitlin. I don't know how to pronounce it, and then it got sent off to Louis Gray, and then once Louis Gray shared it, then it's kind of spread out beyond that. So you can use this slider bar over here in order to go into more detail in order to see kind of, like what were the paths of this information sharing. And this is kind of the top of the page, and further on down the page you can get kind of a timeline so that we can see when something was done, then Louis Gray posted it, and then it's been kind of sent along to other people since then. You can see some of the different statistics, the average chain length, the languages that it's been shared with. So that's kind of interesting. Another thing that I think librarians will find useful eventually once more and more people connect using GooglePlus is the Hangouts. And it's kind of, you can have like virtual video meetings and audio, and it's a good way for people to kind of, you could say, if you have colleagues in Portland, Oregon, and then Washington, D.C., and here in Denver, you can have the 3 of you get together and kind of talk together. And well, I guess another competitor might be with Skype. Now, although can Skype handle calls with more than 2 people? Okay, but this I think will allow, like here, like 10 or 15 people can get together. In this case, Louis Gray had a hangout with 13 people. And there's another company called TinyChat. Have any of you guys used TinyChat at all? It's I used it about 1.5 years ago, but it was just a text-based kind of chatting service. But they just started adding in video chat as well. So like here's a video chat that went pretty well. It's like with about 9 people. And here's some other competition to Google Plus and Facebook. Now, I used to be a big Facebook user about 3 years ago, but now it's kind of waned. I might put up a post maybe once a week, and I'll check in since I help to manage the Penrose Library Facebook page. I'll check that to see if anybody's putting in comments or wall posts or things like that. But I know Facebook has a lot of stuff going for it as far as having librarians connecting with other librarians and chatting and sharing pages and things. But I don't know. I wanted to get a different kind of use something a little bit different. And I know, like Scott Brown there, he probably would really recommend LinkedIn. I could have put that in as some of the other competition. But this is something that's kind of brand new. Have any of you guys used or heard of Diaspora? It's still in alpha stage, and they, like 6 months ago, they had it up and running, and then they closed it down for a little bit. So they've got some technology issues, so they're probably trying to get more venture funding in order to have it more stable and robust. But that was pretty interesting in the way you could set up. You could be really private, or you can have pretty good control of your information, similar to what Google Plus is doing. Now, the big thing with Google Plus are the circles, and you can really have a lot of control with who you're sharing information with. Like if you're a baker, if you like to cook, you can have a circle for people who you like to share recipes with, and then if you do sports, maybe you want to have a soccer club group circle, and then if you're also a librarian, you can have a librarian circle. So people wear different hats, and they can share things in different ways with different groups of people. So once you go into your circles tab, you can see like this sort by, the default is relevant, but you can also sort it by first name, last name, or the recently updated. And over here in your circles, you have even more actions that you can do. And some of those more actions are like you can select all of a group and maybe move them into a different circle. You can block, you can view who's been blocked, and view the ignored people. That's people in your circles, and then people who have added you to their circles, you can also have the same kind of functionality where you can see by first name, last name, not yet in circles, things like that. Another thing that was added in about 5 or 6 days ago is a thing called What's Hot. It's a way to see kind of like the most popular posts that people are sharing and sending around on Google+. Like this one's been shared, I'm not sure, it looks like about 900 odd shares. And they also have a way for somebody to share a circle, although that has some controversy because they're like, I know of some other librarians who don't necessarily want to be in a group of librarians that'll be shared and just kind of sent around. So I really haven't taken part in this, although I have the feeling I might be in somebody's shared circle, but you don't really get a notification if you've been shared in somebody else's shared circle. And in this example, this person, Call, he shared Thomas Hawk's photographers circle since, and you can only have 500 people in a circle. And they also have games, so I just put up the, you have to have Angry Birds in there. Then here's, they also just started Google Reader integration. That's, I think like 2 or 3 days ago they started that. And that's caused a little bit of an uproar with a lot of people, especially people who've been using and sharing and created kind of shared groups within their own Google Reader system. So they've essentially told, okay, the way you've used Google Reader in the past, you can't do it that same way. You have to do it the Google Plus way. So they've taken out functionality from the old Google Reader system. So that's caused a little bit of an uproar. Any of you guys use Google Reader at all? Yeah, so it's going to be changing. So, but if you just use it as a way to read information, it's probably going to be fine. You know, the way it puts in the posts are going to be the same. But if you had done like reader shares and created groups of other people that you would share some of the posts that you like with, that might be done a little bit differently. And I've got some stuff here for further reading. Now, other than this presentation here, you also put the presentation up anywhere? Or is it just the... Okay. Want to get a hold of me, there's my Twitter, there's my Twitter address, and I put up the post a couple of days ago when I just kind of thanked ASYST for the DU group for inviting me today. My email address, and there's my Google Plus account. I really wish they had a way to have customized Google Plus addresses, like having people go to 102847564, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of that's such a long URL. I know I could probably turn that into a bit.ly or something like that, but well, Facebook figured out how people can have customized URLs. You think Google would be able to. I think that's it, and I might as well go into screen share to show you guys what my account looks like a little bit better. Am I getting screen share? Although it's a little bit squashed, but I think that'll be okay. How many of you guys, anybody here does not have a Google account? Okay, I figured all of you probably would. Okay, so this is my Google landing page. I've customized the background. So here's my top of my feed. And I've got different, let me include all the circles that I've got. I've got colleagues, which are mostly people who work at DU, friend feeders, which is some friends that I've got through another virtual service. And I use that quite a bit, and still a little bit more than what I use for Google+. Then they've got an invites section, which I think these are invites that I had sent out to others. Then the biggest part of this are, I put them into a librarian types circle. Now, once I'm in somebody else's circle, I don't know what they named it. And like they could have have a circle called dummy librarians, and I would be in the dummy librarians compared to the smart librarian circle. So you don't know unless you happen upon a presentation like this. You don't know how somebody is kind of cataloged and organized within somebody else's group of circles. But I just have a group called librarian types. Then there's some people that I put in a circle that I say, not sure what circle I should put you in. So I put them in there because I'm just kind of not sure what they're all about. And then if I decide later, I'm not really getting much information from that person, or maybe the person's sending out like really scary kitty pictures, and then I can take that person out and delete them. Yeah? Yeah. Nobody else can see this. But they'll know whether I'm in their shared circles or not. Like Lisa Sperling, I put her in a techie types. Then maybe I decide I want to put her also into the other folder. She's not going to get a notification of that. That's just for my own organization. And if you're at her page, you could see whether she's reciprocated, and if you are in. Okay, so it looks like I'm in Lisa Sperling's circles too. So a lot of times, like since I've connected to like some techie people, like here's Guy Kawasaki. So if I don't want to see the stuff from Guy or Lisa or Robert Scoble, I can just click on the librarian types just if I want to kind of see what's been going on today. Like Jason Fleming. So he put out some things. This person works for JSTOR, and that's another reason why I put in librarian types. Since somebody who works for a vendor like JSTOR or another publishing company, although I think I might have added her before I had the publishing circle, but actually, yeah, let me add her to publishing types as well. So now we should see that she's in 2 circles. Now see this little red button up here? This is one thing that kind of, this is where you can get your notifications. Now, once you click on one of these, it goes away. So here it says Monica Berger added a comment to a post that I commented on, and also a bunch of people have added me. Once I go into one of these, okay, like here's, oh, this scroll down isn't quite working. Okay, so here's Betsy Veer. I know that she's a librarian. I wanted to make sure that, she's a reference librarian, so I wanted to show you how to add her to circles. So I'm going to put her in librarian types. But now, even though I had only looked at one of the two things that I had been notified on, that goes back to 0. So if you have like 9 or 10 notifications, it might be kind of difficult to figure out, well, which ones did I look at and which ones didn't I? It's just at the first instance of you going into your notifications, it just kind of says as if you had taken a look at all of them. Now, thankfully, I'm not all that active, to be honest, on Google+, that it has been difficult for me to figure out which ones I've seen and which ones I haven't. But I could see if somebody's really active and has tons of posts and things, it might be kind of tough to keep up with. Actually, is Scott, can he hear the audio just fine? Is that still working okay? Okay, that's good. Okay, and you see, another thing that I wasn't able to add into the kind of for further reading list, I just found out about 3 hours ago that the person who worked on the Google Reader project, he said he's gone off to work on other things since then, but he's offered to go back to Google to help them reintegrate Google Plus along with features that Google Reader actually desires and wants. So let me go in and show that real quick. I follow him on friend feed, and I saw it. I wanted to show that to you. Now, yeah, here it is here. So this guy, Kevin Fox, he used to be, he was one of the leaders for Google Reader, so he's offered to go back to work for Google. So I don't know if they'll take him up on that offer, but it's just kind of interesting that he feels that strongly that he's going to give up his current job for 3 months to go back and try and fix what he thinks is wrong. But I have the feeling Google's probably already, that ship has sailed, that they're probably going to modify and do things with using Google Reader the way they want to now. But that, I found out about this, came out at 2:34 p.m., so it wasn't in time for me to put this onto the, so that just shows just how quickly changing the environment is for Google Plus and a lot of the these things that are really important, like Google Reader, useful for a lot of researchers and students and librarians. We've got about 2 minutes for questions.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Pass the microphone around if anyone has any questions.
Brown pointed out that it's amazing in both its rate of adoption and the changes happening on it.
Yeah, it's just amazing the rate of change. But I think that's just constant change is here to stay, and it's just going to get worse. So I think we just have to learn how to try and keep up with some of the different technology. I try to, but I think it's important to know who else to follow too, so that way you don't have to follow everything. But if you get updates from other people, like Robert Scoble, he's a very noisy Twitter kind of guy, but he keeps up with a lot of the technology. So if I see what he's doing and talking about every once in a while, and it's a way for me to kind of know what's coming down the pike. Like somebody else that also keeps up with a lot of technology, Jason something, Jason Griffey, I think he's at Kentucky or Tennessee, but he keeps up with a lot of technology stuff, particularly with ebook readers and things like that. So I think it's important to kind of figure out who to follow, so that way you don't have to keep up with everything that's going on with the changes out there.
So my other question was, I noticed that the Android logo was present on some of the posts by, I think they might have been developers or related somehow to GooglePlus. And I was wondering if you knew anything about how good the phone support is for Google.
I have no idea. I have an iPod Touch, so I think I've used Google Plus a little bit on the iPod Touch, but as far as how good it works on Android, I don't know. I don't like to get, and this is the first generation iPod Touch. I celebrated its 3rd birthday a couple of months ago, and this doesn't even have the camera, so it's.
How is it on the iPod?
It's okay, but I think you're missing some functionality over what's on the desktop. So I usually use it on my laptop. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks.